Did you know? Before the invention of trains, we used to run wagons on your mom. Oh, the memories. Let's just keep on going right here, give her a little highlight.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
You know, I felt like she was talking a lot of and I just felt like it was up to me to step in and correct where needed correction. She likes to go around saying she's the face of women's boxing, and I refute that 100%. I think you're looking at the face, and it's definitely not Alicia. So I see her as a competitor. I respect her as an athlete. I respect what she's done in the ring. I respect her skill. I just believe that I'm better at everything that she is good at. And as a competitor, as a competitive person, I see the standard that she's at, and I want to match it and overtake it. So that's where the clash of the personality clash and the rivalry will grow from.
Why would the same girl who now thinks she's ready for Alicia Baumgardner have had to put off a Ferreira fight? If you're ready for Alicia, then you should have been ready for Beatrice. I'm not letting that go. If you now think you're ready for Alicia, then you should be ready for the Golden Turk, who's going to be boxing this weekend, Elif Turan. If you're ready for Alicia. She says she's ready. She sounds like she's ready. So for what reason, if she's ready, does she have to be so selective about who she unifies with? Because bear in mind, she's harping about a fighter that doesn't even fight at her weight. What do you think? That Alicia Baumgardner is going to move up to your division when you say so because you're the one in charge? You're not. You say she's not the face of boxing. You are. When the fuck did that happen? When did Caroline Dubois become the face of boxing? Did Katie and Amanda retire? Because to my knowledge, those are the two faces of boxing. The face of boxing is all about whose fights move the needle the most. And in that regard, that's Katie and Amanda. The face of boxing is all about who makes the most money from their fights. And in that regard, that's Katie and Amanda. Now, I understand that Katie and Amanda are in the twilight years of their careers, and very soon they both could retire. But Carolyn isn't the heir apparent. She's not the next in line. What the fuck have you done, and who the fuck have you fought that would make you next? There are strong rumors that MVP is set to debut in the United Kingdom, do their very first show there, and Caroline Dubois could be headlining opposite the ring Terry Harper. But what does it say that the biggest fight of your career so far will be against a woman that Alicia knocked out several years and several fights ago? Doesn't say that you're the face of boxing, that's for goddamn sure. See how selective she is. Oh yeah, you want to unify. If it's against Terry Harper, who's been stopped 2 times, but when it was Beatrice, you wanted to save her for last. And Elif Turan, I haven't even seen her mention Elif Turan, who beat Beatrice. See how selective she is. See, Caroline Dubois is not cut from the same cloth as Katie Taylor. From the moment Katie Taylor debuted as a pro, she made it her mission to unify her division. That's not really what Caroline is after. Not unification matches, she's after clout. Yeah, she's a clout chaser. And she's clout chasing Alicia. What makes it clout chasing? You've got an entire division of champions to go after. You're very picky about who you go after, and you're harping about a fighter that doesn't even fight at your weight. Clout chaser. You're doing that as a favor to your mentor, Clarissa Shields, based on her ongoing beef with Alicia Baumgardner. You're willing to act as her attack dog to siphon clout from her and, in effect, siphon clout from Alicia, because right now, you have none. You're not a big draw in the UK. You hope to be. Though I'm not a fan of a boxer's egocentricities when they're not actually getting anything done. I'm the face of boxing. Based on what? Who did you fight? Who did you beat? What tickets did you sell that would make you the face? You can think that Caroline Dubois is a skilled fighter who has the ingredients to maybe become the face. Maybe. But I stand by my original point, that if unification matches were what Caroline was really after, there's been one or some on the table this whole time. She's a picky eater. You think you're ready for a fighter, like Alicia Baumgardner, but you wanted to save Beatrice Ferreira for last, and now you likely want to do the same thing with Elif Turan. So it's not unification matches you're after, it's clout. While it's not the end of the world that a young unbeaten champion is calling out an established name at or around their weight, it's what fights Caroline has been putting off that chapped my ass, because in the time that you've been doing all of this, one of those fights could have happened by now. You don't want the smoke. You want a shortcut to the big money and the big fights. How am I supposed to respect that? Based on prevalent rumors, If Caroline Dubois really does headline a show in the UK promoted by MVP opposite the ring Terry Harper, she's gonna be under pressure to outperform Alicia Baumgardner. Terry would service as a common opponent between them. We know what Alicia did to Terry years ago. Can Caroline do the same or better years later? Because she's talking a mouthful. She's been talking a good one, and for as much as you're talking, if you get Terry, you better outperform Alicia. You better knock her out. That's the least you can do, as much as you've been talking. In men's heavyweight news, I'm sure most of you have heard by now the news that broke earlier today that Tyson Fury will be coming back, and per rumors, he is fighting Arslanbek Makhmudov. Arslanbek Makhmudov was one of several names on a short list, rumored to be Tyson Fury's next opponent. Tyson Fury, who said, "Excited to be back. Heart's always been and always will be in boxing. Someone go tell the king that the ace is back." Makhmudov reacted by saying, "I am thrilled about the opportunity. I'm coming to deliver a war. Tyson Fury has been a big champion. I will be more than ready than ever to leave with the massive W." He's coming off that laborious win over the United Kingdom's own Dave Allen. The Ruskies used to have to come to America for opportunities, for big money. These days, it's the Brits they have to go after. He just fought one in Dave Allen. Now he's fighting another in Tyson Fury. The twist is that the fight will not be shown on DAZN, and it's not a Queensberry promotion show. It's going to be shown on Netflix, and it's being delivered by Turkey El Sheikh, who we all know by now is a promoter in his own right. Even if he's been working with practically everybody else out there, he's fully capable of bankrolling his own shows without anybody else's help or anybody's network money. But he just so happens to have involved the biggest network out there right now. Streaming platform, really, but it's so big, it's tantamount to its own network, isn't it?
He's now fighting on April the 11th against Makhmudov, which is it's a good comeback fight. You know, he's a good fighter. He's got a good record, and it'd be a great fight for Tyson to try and get the cobwebs out of his system. It's a tough fight for him, but you know, Tyson, he said he doesn't want to be fighting any YouTubers or anything like that. He wants a proper fight, and that's what he's got. Notice the little jab they took at Anthony Joshua for boxing YouTuber Jake Paul, but I suppose that boxing, a novice MMA fighter is supposed to be better, an MMA fighter who didn't even have any boxing matches. There is a legitimate argument that the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fought was a more experienced boxer than the Francis Ngannou that Tyson Fury fought, the one that Anthony Joshua dispatched easily, where Tyson Fury labored with that same fighter. If you needed any indication that the rivalry still exists between Old Fish Eyes Frank Warren and Silver Spoon Eddie, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, there it is. And further indication that in spite of the horrific accident that Anthony survived, the one that left people thinking he may retire, if you needed any indication that he may stick around and he may fight on, and he may yet have the showdown with Tyson Fury, there it is. Why else would Frank Warren be taking jabs at him? The fight is still alive. Now, what about the fight that Tyson Fury is about to have? What about the Arslanbek Makhmudov fight? In truth, I see no fault in it. I like the fight. Bitch! Arslanbek Makhmudov, I'd rate him higher than Sefer Seferi or Francesco Pianetta, those fighters that Tyson Fury first fought upon launching his comeback from his 2-year hiatus. I think that Makhmudov is a better fighter than, say, Tom Schwartz. I would actually pick Arslanbek to beat Otto Wallin. I think this is a good shout. It's a good choice for a rebound fight and a comeback fight. Professional rivalries and jabs aside, this is a good fight for Tyson Fury to come back in. That if you've still got it, then you should be able to beat this guy. No issues. It's been well over a year since Tyson Fury's last fight, whereas Makhmudov would have seen action more recently opposite the ring, the White Rhino. Even if I myself am not a fan of Tyson Fury, I can appreciate what his ring return does for the sport of boxing, because there are still a lot of people who are fans of him. Fans out there who are fans of him. He can create excitement for them, and I feel like boxing needs that right now.
Fury's a massive name, but you put the two of them together, yeah, obviously like AJ Paul or Paul Tyson, like, those are mega fights with mega names. The two of them together maybe don't equal that, but Fury's a massive name. He had a reality show on Netflix. It makes all the sense in the world. And I like the fact that it's not just A+++ mega events on Netflix. This means that Netflix is truly interested in boxing. This means that Netflix is truly interested in big fights. They don't have to be the biggest of all time, but in big fights. And as I've said time and again, they want AJ Fury. And as I said time and again, TKO is going to be involved in AJ Fury. And as I've said, TKO has a great relationship with Tyson Fury. Fury has shown up on WWE events. I know Nick Khan and him have a great relationship. He helped broker that deal of Fury and Top Rank together, and obviously the Top Rank ESPN deal. And I would not be surprised. They weren't on the press release or anything like that for this announcement. Would not be surprised if, just like Crawford Canelo, they're kind of behind it, leading their, lending their promotional muscle, their production muscle, all that stuff and more. But what is probably most interesting to me is that all those 5 cards that Netflix has put on, every single one of them involves a DAZN fighter. Katie Taylor on the first one, right? Paul Tyson. They had to get permission from DAZN to have her on there, and DAZN gets paid, but that's their biggest female draw. Katie Taylor is the face of women's boxing in many people's eyes, and certainly of DAZN's boxing. Second card, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. They had to do the same thing. Third card. Okay, sorry. I'm talking about 4 out of the 5. Sorry, not Crawford Canelo. AJ. And this time, Tyson Fury. And so DAZN's subscribers and even their promoters, this is a Queensberry fighter. Tyson Fury is a Queensberry fighter. DAZN is openly willing to get paid to have their fighters fight on different platforms. And so are they telling us by doing this, I'm just hypothesizing here, but are they telling us by doing this that it's more beneficial to them to get the payday from Netflix than to have these fights on their platform and hope for X amount of subs, X amount of pay-per-view buys, whatever the case may be? Are they getting paid more to just have their fighters fight elsewhere? They have deals with these promoters. As a result of those deals, those fighters should be fighting on DAZN. And the biggest names who are attached to those promoters, Taylor, AJ, Taylor again, Tyson Fury, are not fighting on the platform. I find that to be fascinating and not something that is common, not something that we've seen, surely not in this era. Like you'll recall Lewis Tyson back in the day. Tyson was a Showtime fighter. Lewis was an HBO fighter. They had to come together. They both had to broadcast it. That was the big stumbling block. That was the big deal. That's not happening here. This is a Netflix exclusive. So I feel like this is big.
This is why I can appreciate Ariel Helwani's transition to covering the sport of boxing alongside mixed martial arts, because the analysis is often more thoughtful than what you get from your typical boxing scribe. The question he posed was an insightful one. Does DAZN now benefit more from renting out their fighters to a bigger platform than staging fights for them themselves? Because Katie's boxed on Netflix, and so is AJ, 2 of their flagship fighters. Well, the short answer is yes. It is expensive for Netflix to borrow their fighters, but they can more than afford it. And in doing so, staging fights for these fighters, if we are to assume that Netflix borrowing Fury is anything like Netflix borrowing AJ, DAZN gets something out of it, which is tantamount to pure profit. The way it normally goes, you've got to foot the bill to make fights for the fighter in the hopes you'll get something back. Normally. The way this goes, Netflix is footing the bill. You don't have to kick out anything, and you still get something out of it. When DAZN first debuted in the United States, we know they were hemorrhaging money all over the place. Calculated losses they knew they were going to take, but losses still, and they operated at a loss for a good number of years. So that if after all these years, what you've built and the relationships you've formed have provided something that an even bigger platform than yours might want to use at a hefty price.
Now you're cooking with rice.
So the short answer is yes. DAZN might actually benefit more from renting out their fighters to a bigger platform than staging fights for them themselves, because whatever they get is pure profit.
Boxing needs to be on Netflix to grow. It ain't going to grow on DAZN. We've learned that over the past 10 years. It needs to be on Netflix. It needs to be on Paramount Plus. It needs to be on mainstream outlets and the biggest platforms, not just sports platforms, but just big platforms. How did boxing grow on HBO? They would put 24/7 after The Sopranos. They would put 24/7 after Entourage. That's how boxing grows. And so you attach it to, like, the reason why they got involved with Jake Paul is because the Jake Paul Untold episode that aired on Netflix did gangbusters. So they're like, oh, there's something there. And then the reason why, you know, they want to be in the Tyson Fury business, A, is because it's Tyson Fury, but also his reality show did really well, especially over in the UK. So this makes a lot of sense to me, and I hope it means that we don't just have to get A++ events on Netflix or fights on Netflix. I also think it's really interesting if TKO is truly going to be involved in this one. Zuffa boxing isn't just what we see at the Apex. It's this as well. And does Zuffa boxing become the ring, and do they become one and the same? Fascinating times.
To the point that Ariel led with, that boxing needs to be on Netflix. I've been saying that the whole time, guys. I've been saying it on repeat. DAZN can only advertise fights to people that are already subscribed to them. There's no way for them to tap into that casual audience that makes the sport grow. Netflix can do that in a way that DAZN can't. He mentioned HBO, a premium cable channel, but it's actually boxing moving to cable and premium cable that caused its audience to shrink and dwindle year by year. The reason for it is not everybody could afford cable, even basic cable, let alone premium cable. So when all the boxing moves over there, you lose a sizable portion of the audience that used to watch it on regular television. And boxing stayed on cable for a good number of years, and that worked for a while. But little by little, boxing being behind that paywall caused the audience to shrink. Furthermore, when more and more Americans start cutting the cord, moving away from conventional cable packages over to streaming to save a few bucks. They got tired of paying for all these cable channels they barely even watch, so to save a few dollars, they subscribed only to the streaming platforms they knew they would use. In effect, cable lost its reach. Premium cable channels, along with it and whatever content they aired, in effect, affecting boxing. Audience shrinks even more. Now, what could reverse all the years of damage these paywalls have done to boxing's core audience? Netflix. Because Netflix is tantamount to a terrestrial network due to its reach. Anything you do on Netflix is going to get seen by a lot of people all around the world. By definition, it's not actually a terrestrial network like, say, NBC or Fox or WPIX, but it has the same reach as those networks, the same scale audience. Over 330 million subscribers and counting all around the world, to where your typical boxing match on Netflix is going to get seen by a hell of a lot more people than it would on DAZN. A DAZN subscription can cost you anywhere in between $19.99 to $30, whereas a Netflix subscription can be as low as $7 or $8.99 to $24.99, considerably cheaper than DAZN. You would get access to their entire catalog of movies and television shows, so that if they start showing boxing on a regular basis, that's value for money that DAZN can't compete with. Fury versus Makhmudov gets a hell of a lot more eyes on it on Netflix than it ever could on DAZN. Echoing Ariel Helwani's sentiment, my previously expressed sentiment that Netflix could be a game changer for the sport of boxing if they do it on a regular basis. Because anything they do is going to get seen by a lot of people.